Welcome to Market Money, your weekly destination for exclusive interviews, insightful stock reviews, and financial education for sound financial decisions. This is where your money meets the market. I'm your host, Renee McDonald. In this week's episode, we'll be covering the Jamaica Stock Exchange, who they are, their divisions, and what they do. Next, we jump into a stock review of 138 Student Living, ticker 138SL, on the main market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And finally, we close out with a live interview with the new CEO of Caribbean Assurance Brokers, Ms. Shirley Bridgman. So before we get into the episode, we have a word from our sponsors. This episode of Market Money is sponsored by the Learn, Grow, Invest 12-month Investment Challenge. The Investment Challenge is a program designed to enhance your investment journey through monthly investment calls, monthly challenges, special prices on financial services, and access to a challenge community group. The cost to sign up is $30 per month, and the link is in the description of this video. You can join at any time. Now, let's get into this week's episode. Information reviewed here is for discussion, education, entertainment, and illustrative purposes only, and should not be construed as professional financial advice, solicitation, or recommendation to buy or sell any securities. So, the Jamaica Stock Exchange. I know that if you're here, you have likely interacted with the JSE in one way or another. But this week, we're here to dig a little deeper into what exactly the JSE does and what the divisions are that entail or are monitored by the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So the JSE is actually a publicly listed limited liability company. And the first trade took place on February 3rd, 1969. So they've been around for a while. The JSE is composed of multiple markets: the main market, the junior market, the USD market, and the bond market. And it allows, of course, for the buying and selling of securities. Now, the JSE has some other components. The JSE as a group consists of the Jamaica Stock Exchange itself, of course, but also the Jamaica Central Securities Depository Limited, aka JCSD. Now, if it is that you have a dividend paying stock in your portfolio, you may be familiar with this, right? Are you seeing it? This is a dividend check that comes from the JCSD once it is that the stock that you own has paid out, or the company that you own shares in has paid out a dividend. The JCSD has responsibility for monitoring and dispensing these dividends. Also, it has a subsidiary. The JCSD has a subsidiary called the JCSD Trustee Services Limited. And this arm is particularly geared towards the financial industry. We will get into that a little more. There's also the JSE, which is the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange, and the RMOD, which is the Regulatory and Market Oversight Division. There's also the RMOC, the Regulatory and Market Oversight Committee. All of these fall under the JSE. So you may know by now, or may suspect, that all listed companies are subjected to the regulatory requirements of the Securities Act. And the RMOD is that division that ensures adherence to the Act and adherence to the regulations that are put in place. The RMOD has responsibility for oversight, standards, and regulation. So they have a structure and direct regulatory function. They structure and direct regulatory functions of the exchange. They also establish the regulatory rules for the exchange. So if rules need to be addressed, updated, changed, if you have challenges with any of the rules that exist, this is the division that you would want to reach out to and have a conversation with. They also monitor compliance of investors and companies alike, and they monitor the member dealers or the brokers, and they investigate trading activities, and they enforce the exchange rules. So it is not done directly by the JSE anymore, that was divested from the JSE to the RMOD some time ago. The JCSD, which is wholly owned by the Jamaica Stock Exchange, or the JSE, was created to provide the depository and settlement services for securities traded electronically on the JSE using a book entry system. So the JCSD is who allows us to go online and trade ourselves. Initially, when the JCSD, so many acronyms, so many letters. But the JCSD, when they just started, they were actually facilitating this buying and selling for brokers and not the retail investor. But now we have the benefit as retail investors of having our own JCSD accounts and being able to log on to JTrader Pro, which is facilitated by the Jamaica Stock Exchange. We're able to log in with our JCSD numbers and trade directly on the exchange. We're able to set our prices for buying and selling. We're able to set our limits. We're able to set our timeline, etc. We're able to do that directly on the Jamaica Stock Exchange now because of the JCSD. Now, the JCSD keeps records of the transactions, and they hold electronically the securities. And the securities that we're talking about here are the stocks and the bonds that are on the market. And they also deal with clearance and settlement of the transactions. Currently, we're at T+2, which means transaction day plus 2 days for the settlement of your transaction. So if you bought a stock today on the exchange, it would settle on Friday, and you would see that difference in your shareholdings on Friday in your account. But the JCSD has recently announced that they're shifting to T+1, meaning transaction day plus 1 day instead of 2. And of course, we're talking about working days, not calendar days. So if there's a holiday, if there's a weekend, those days don't count. Moving on to the JCSD trustee services. As I mentioned before, this is mainly for the financial services industry. The JCSD TS, Trustee Services, is wholly owned by the JCSD itself, and it provides trustee services. It manages trusts for the financial services industry. More information can be found about all of these entities on jamstockx.com. And we also have the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange, as I mentioned before. The difference with the Social Stock Exchange is that it is not meant for dividend payments or capital appreciation. The Social Stock Exchange is there for the building of our society. It is there for persons who would like to contribute to the social improvement of our country, giving them an opportunity to fund projects that are impacting us nationally. So you would see, again, more information about the JSSE on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, and there is a JSSE website separate as well. So now we go into our stock highlight for the week. Today, we're having a conversation about 138 student living, 138 SL. The stock closed out at $4.34 today, going up by 13.61% or 52 cents in value. Today being March 3rd, 2024. March 13th, 2024. My apologies. So if you're new to 138SL, if you don't know what they do, who they are, then it would be good to know that they are, in fact, a limited liability company publicly traded on the main market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. They are incorporated and domiciled in Jamaica, and they were established to construct and rent living facilities at the University of the West Indies. And that is under a 65-year concession agreement granted by the university. The terms of the agreement requires the company to design, finance, and construct and operate 1,584 units of student accommodation in 3 development phases in not more than 48 months or 4 years. That means if you are a shareholder for 138SL, then you want to ensure that you are looking for the accomplishment of this agreement. Have they been able to construct the 1,584 units? How far along are they with that? These are things that you want to look at. How far along are they in those 4 years? Does it look like a reasonable timeline for them to still complete their end of that bargain? The leadership there is confident that they can execute what they have promised to do, and thus far they have been managing what is in their hands to best accomplish just that. So the company has a 100% subsidiary, which is 138SL Restoration Limited, which is also a limited liability company incorporated and domiciled in Jamaica. And this company has a 30-year concession agreement, which may be extended for an additional 5 years. And the concession was granted again by the University of the West Indies for the restoration and reconstruction of certain traditional halls up to 722 units. Now, if it is that you are a past student of the UWI, as I am, and I might age myself a little bit here, but I would have left the UWI in 2007, having completed my degree that year. The UWI I left then and the UWI I see now are vastly different, and 138SL is a part of the reason for that, right? So the constructions are indeed underway. The restorations are indeed underway. You can physically see the differences on the campus. With the stock price over the last year for 138SL, you would notice that in March of 2023, it was looking at around $5. And that price would have bounced between $5 and $6 per share, but eventually dipped in around June, to under $5, and has been kind of struggling to get back to its original $5 plus since then. It had a major dip here in March 2024 and is now in recovery from that dip. So let's dive in a little bit more to the audited 2023 numbers that we would have seen in their audited report for 2023. Again, this is available on the Jamaica Stock Exchange's website under the 138SL tab. Yes. So their revenues would have increased by 9% to $1.3 billion year over year. All the figures reflected here on these slides are year over year. The operating expenses also increased at 35%, landing them at $678 million. But the profit before taxes increased by 9%, bringing it to $654 million. And better yet, the net profits increased by 71% year over year, landing at $376 million. Also, the earnings per share would have increased by 8% to 83 cents. And the stock price, as you would have seen in the chart before, has actually decreased by 1.8% year over year to $3.82. In terms of the total assets, those would have increased by 2% to $9.9 billion year over year. The equity increased by 8% to $4.9 billion year over year. The liabilities decreased by 3% to $5 billion. And that was indeed a focus of the company when they had their APO last year. The APO was geared at bringing in additional funds to close out some of their debts so that they could continue with their mission of building the accommodations and just reduce their debt burden overall. The cash flow from operations would have increased by 19% to $600 million. The cash flow from investing activities or to investing activities was $32 million, an increase of 21% year over year. And finally, the cash flow from financing activities would have increased by 99%. And that would have been negative $679 million reflected on their balance sheet. Now, in addition to that, we do have the recap for today. Today's range for 138SL, it fluctuated between $3.79 in terms of their stock price to $4.39. The 52-week range, again, which you would have seen in the chart shown earlier, is between $3.02 and $5.75. That's the 52-week low and the 52-week high. The market cap is at $2.32 billion for 138SL, and their shares outstanding are 536,855,600. And they also would have had a payment of dividends on February 23rd, 2023 of $0.013 per share, totaling a payout of $69,791,228. So there is a lot left to be seen with what is happening with 138SL. The company, as I mentioned earlier, did an APO in recent times. They did not accomplish what they hoped to accomplish with the APO in terms of raising the amount of funds that they wanted. And so it is yet to be seen how they will manage that. We actually got the opportunity to catch up with the CEO, Cranston Yuan, at their AGM on March 5th of this year. And this is what he had to say about those questions and to you, his shareholders.
Good to see you again.
Thanks very much, Jeremy. My pleasure.
All right, so coming out of your APO last year, you would have mentioned during the AGM that you were not able to raise the amount you were looking for. What have you done with the funds that you were able to raise?
All right, so the funds that we were able to raise, Jeremy, just a little over $500 million, will be used primarily to reduce our debt load. I mean, that's what we told shareholders, that's what we promised, and that's exactly what we're doing. We haven't raised enough. We were hoping that we would have raised somewhere about $2 billion, and if we had, then a significant portion of that would have gone to debt load, and then to look at some opportunities that we have pending. So right now, that funds will be used primarily to reduce debt.
Okay. So with Plan A not working, what does that mean what is Plan B?
Well, we still have a significant debt that we are looking to reduce. And what we are looking right now is to just be patient and look at what is happening in the market. But as soon as the market show more positive signs, it is our intention to look at what opportunities are there for us that we can utilize to further reduce this debt.
Okay. So that means that you'll pretty much have to ride out the finance costs that you currently have until maybe the market is in a better position to give you capital that you're looking for.
Pretty much, with the exception, of course, that the funds that we have already raised will be used towards debt, and therefore that will see, our finance costs maybe trending down a little bit, albeit not a lot, but trending down a little bit, which is where we expect it to go. And of course, we'll take it from there to see what are the opportunities for further reduction.
Okay. So at your APO launch, you mentioned that there were other potential opportunities for revenue. Have you been able to explore those? Have you been able to, initiate any of those to help with maybe the funds that you're trying to raise?
Right. So we have been exploring those. We would have mentioned as a part of the APO that we had opportunities to continue to build out even at the University of the West Indies. Those we have put on the side burner for now. But there are some real opportunities with the University of Technology students that I would have indicated. We don't know where we will land with that opportunity yet, but there are discussions that we are taking place at the board level. And there are one and two opportunities that existed before that we are still holding close to our chest, that we, at this point in time, would be too premature for us to begin to discuss. But there are opportunities for 138 to grow and expand that we are nurturing and exploring.
Okay. So do you think it would have been better to invest in your growth plans versus paying down the debt in the short term?
No. We consider that paying down the debt is a critical part of us. The debt burden is just a little bit too high for us. When you look at that and with what we can generate in a reasonable way and the timing of those debt, it's either we're going to have to pay down or we look to increase, lengthen the timing of those and spread the debt over longer periods of time. So, that for us is very critical. But it doesn't at the same time negate the fact that we have to have a growth perspective and outlook. Yes.
All right. So what would you say to shareholders who would have, been a part of the journey since APO, and your existing shareholders before that? What do you say to them about the way forward?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank our shareholders for being there with us, and we would have gained quite a number of new shareholders from the APO. Welcome them on board. We have 138 is a niche company. We're operating in a niche market, student accommodation. We are the only one doing it in the way we are. And therefore, it is important for us to recognize the enormous potential that we have being experienced in this era. We have had our challenges. COVID-19 presented, clear challenges for us. We were able to overcome those, and I believe if we can overcome the likes of the challenges of COVID-19 and still
So you heard it from Mr. Yuan himself, CEO of 138SL, what his thoughts are in terms of the direction of 138. Now we are going into a live conversation with Ms. Shirley Bridgman, CEO of Caribbean Assurance Brokers. Please help me in welcoming her to the Learn, Grow, Invest platforms.
Good evening. Good evening, Renee.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I see big things going on for the students at UWI. As you said, it's certainly different from when we went there.
Yes, it's a completely different campus. So they are blessed to have it. And if you are a UWI student and you're watching, please know that you are living in history, right? You're living in a historical time.
I also heard on the budget yesterday that you don't need to get a guarantor for your student loan anymore. So yes, persons at UWI and entering UWI, it's certainly a changed landscape for them. Happy for them. Extremely happy for that.
So thank you. As we really want to welcome you to Learn, Grow, Invest to the platform. The last time we spoke with Caribbean Assurance, we were speaking with a different CEO. So you are new here and we are happy to have this conversation with you today. So I'll allow you to introduce yourself. Can you tell us a bit about your own background?
Okay, so as you told everyone already, I'm Shirley Bridgman. I am the CEO of Caribbean Assurance Brokers. I have been in insurance, general insurance, for roughly 30 years, and I have come full circle. So I started as a broker, then I moved into on the underwriting, the insurer side, and now I'm right back where I started. And I have experience in just about every area in customer experience, operation transformation, training, sales, and marketing. I'm coming from Guardian General, where I was the regional vice president of customer experience and marketing. I am also the chairman of the board of the College of Insurance and Professional Studies, where I also lecture, and I serve on the board of the Jamaica Customer Service Association. Was
Wow,
that
that
enough?
is yes, yes, it certainly is. Thank you so much for that. I think that's a great background and a good segue into what drew you to Caribbean Assurance Brokers, what made it a place of interest for you.
So I've been in, as I said, I've been in insurance for 30 years. I started as a broker. So it's like riding a bicycle, right? You probably move up to a motorcycle and a car, but you want to go back to where your roots were. And I worked with Caribbean Assurance Brokers whilst at Guardian General. And I know that they have a commitment to service excellence. As seen in their yearly annual reports, they are all about achieving optimal results for their shareholders. And I was excited about the opportunity to lead and contribute to CAB's success, leveraging, of course, on my skills in restructuring, sales, marketing, and customer service. CAB is on an aggressive growth path. And coupled with that, they want to restructure. Efficient management of operations was the request when I was doing my interview. And I'm extremely excited to be on board and to be leading this charge and strengthening the CAB brand.
Thank you so much for that. I can hear the clarity of purpose in your response. So that is good to know. Now, you mentioned the restructuring as being a part of the focus and the purpose. Is there anything about that you're able to share with us, or that you'd like to share with the audience at this time?
As I said, we are going through a transformation. We have employed new persons in the organization. We have employed very experienced and with persons with proven track records to as leaders, and we have done an organization restructure. We're changing the culture of the organization as well, and you'll see that in the year to come.
Okay, we look forward to it. So we know that the insurance industry is constantly evolving, and in more recent times, it has been a great challenge in terms of the increase in rates in general, um, across the board when it comes to insurance. How do you how do you look at opportunities, or what opportunities do you see in the market for cab right now based on the current landscape?
So we are Caribbean Assurance Brokers is a leading broker right now in international and local health and life landscape. Yes, there are capacity restraints in the general insurance industry. There are rates increases, but someone once told me the best place to start, is when you're at the bottom, right? So it can only get better from here. As with the restructuring exercise, we have brought on board some experienced general sales persons, and we're going to get aggressive in that area in general. We have a new product line coming out, and it's geared towards the tourism sector, as you know, one of the leading sectors in our economy. And we're really excited about this product, and it will be launching in 2024.
Okay, so I hope everybody caught that. So we need to look out for that new product and what exactly is being launched by CAB in 2024. So I want to know from your personal perspective, what are some of your goals and objectives, milestones then that you're looking forward to accomplishing as CEO?
As we discussed earlier, the market is very competitive, and so new products, innovative products, catering to a different market, an underserved market, and an ever-changing client needs. So just developing and launching and promoting new innovative products is one of our major strategic focus for 2024. Of course, total digitization of the organization, which will enhance our customer experience and if achieve efficiencies in the processes of at CAB, and just an overall culture shift. One of the things I'm extremely passionate about when it comes to insurance, as I am the chairman of the College of Insurance and I also lecture, is education and awareness. Too often, we hear per person speaking very badly about insurance, but also too often I see young persons nowadays, everybody doing a GoFundMe because they didn't have adequate health insurance, didn't have adequate critical illness. I saw one social media person the other day, her car met in an accident. I'm not sure if her limits of liability, if the third party was insured, what was going on while she was on social media asking for help to fix her car. So I really think that we need an education and awareness program for our young people who will will be looking at how can they protect their assets, how can they protect themselves for continuity, so we're going to be looking at doing some educational programs on health products, life products, general products, to show the importance of insurance and promoting awareness about prudent risk management. This will not only contribute to societal well-being, that when we get sick, we can continue our lives because we have protected ourselves. When we meet in an accident, we can we have made sure that the innocent third parties taken care of. We have adequate insurance, but it will also foster trust. It's not just about sales. It's about letting you know what is it you really need to be protecting and how best we can advise you to protect your assets and yourself.
So I can truly appreciate that. And I'm also hearing in my head or community members saying, yeah, okay, I hear you, but how does that impact me and the premiums that I have to pay? If more persons come on to purchase insurance, right? If the education campaigns work and more people start coming on and getting insured, how does that help the individual persons who are on the insurance plans?
And when you talk about insurance, what area are you talking about now? Health or general?
Let's say health, because the health insurance one is one that has a particular sticking point at this time, because it just seems more difficult to get as an individual, being outside of a company, not being on a
Well,
company.
well, Renee, fraud is very high in the insurance sector. So you do have persons who are with a company, they have a card and they lend someone else the card. And of course, with high utilization, your premiums are going to go up. So it may not be that you are using the card a lot, but other persons who have the cards, they lend out the card to someone else. So, you go to the dentist and the dentist writes down your name, not you, Renee, as Sue Brown, another name, and use the card. And what that does is it hike up your price. So if more persons come on and get their own cards, therefore you are not using a card 2 and 3 times, then the price will eventually come down because the utilization will come down because you have more premiums going into the pool. The same happens for general. The more persons insuring their cars because they want to protect the third party, is the more the cost to you comes down because there's more premium going in the pool to pay the losses of the few. So that's how it works. At Caribbean Assurance Brokers, we do have a partnership with the credit union that if you do not work for a company, you can go into any credit union that you're a member of and ask about the Gold Series plan, and you can get individual insurance.
Thank you so much for that information. And that insurance through the credit unions, is that general insurance, health insurance?
Health insurance, health and life insurance.
Okay, thank you very much. That would have been great to know. Right. I'm sure that our audience will appreciate it. Because I can share from our personal experience as self-employed persons. We would love to have health insurance in place, and it was based on our personal experience that I was able to say that it's a challenge to actually get that health insurance, not being employed to a larger company. So,
and for persons who are interested in overseas health and life insurance, we also offer individual health and life insurance to persons who would like it to be of a US currency.
wonderful. Thank you so much for that. So, it's being I'm going to check now if it is that we have any questions from our audience, and if there's anything that our community may want to ask you. So there are a few.
A few questions.
So let's go to them. The first one is, what should investors look forward to from CAB for 2024?
Well, for 2024, as I said, I'm not sure who is asking me the question, but thank you for it. We are looking at restructuring. We're looking at operational efficiencies to kind of focusing on our expenses, to bring down our expenses. And certainly with efficiencies and downward projection, downward actual of expenses, then we're hoping that our profits will go up. So we definitely would like to deliver maximum results for our shareholders for 2024.
That sounds great. Now, I love that you shared your background earlier, and you shared about being in marketing. So I think this question will be a breeze for you. But what is your plan in terms of shareholder engagement and communication?
Shareholder engagement. I do know that we have our website, and we are currently updating our websites. We continuous updating of our website where you can ask your questions. You certainly can call our offices, ask us any questions you may have. We want to be out there a little bit more as well, so that persons can see us and see us in our cab shirts, etc. We want to be going to more expos, going to more financial forums, and being involved. We're certainly part of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, the only broker, and we're very involved with them, so that any shareholder that has a question, that they can ask us through that forum, and just other marketing promotional activities that we're doing around the island, because we certainly don't plan to only stay in Kingston. So we want to get involved in all over the island, so that our shareholders can see us, that they can ask us any insurance question on any product, and that they can better communicate with us. I know too that my marketing manager, Miss Sequoia Thomas, she's working on a newsletter, and that newsletter will be sent out and possibly posted on our websites, so you can see the products that we offer, and maybe a little EML question here and there, but just keeping our shareholders abreast with what is going on at Caribbean Assurance Brokers.
That's wonderful. As investor relations lead for Learn, Grow, Invest, I'm excited to hear that. I love to hear when companies are invested in keeping communication lines open with their shareholders. So we move on to the next one. Okay, what exactly is the role of an insurance broker?
I absolutely love that question. So I get that question every time I teach a class. So I teach motor at the college, and no, your broker is not about getting you the cheapest premium. That is definitely not the role of a broker. The role of a broker is to look at your needs and ensure needs in any area of insurance, whether it is health insurance, life insurance, general insurance, which includes your motor vehicle, your home, your business. It could be liability insurance, Critical illness insurance is also very important. But to look at you as an individual or as a company and determine what your needs are and give you solutions for that needs or those needs. It's not about getting the cheapest premium. It's about getting you affordable premiums for benefits that suit your needs, whatever those may be.
The best fit.
The best fit.
Right. That's what we're looking for. Thank you for that. What opportunities for innovation exist in the insurance industry at this time?
I'm going to say a lot. Yes, insurance is kind of known to be the dinosaur, but just recently we launched in the industry IVIS. So persons will notice now that when the police stop you, they're going on your phone and they're checking to ensure if your insurance is up to date, if your registration and fitness is up to date. A lot of brokers and companies are also embarking on e-commerce, where you can go online and renew your policy, effect your policy, do payments, etc. So the industry is evolving in terms of innovation. One of the plans that we're going to be doing at Caribbean Assurance Brokers is going paperless. And in some sectors, this may have been done pre-COVID, but believe it or not, in insurance, we're getting there. So there's lots of opportunities.
Wonderful. And I believe this is our final question at this time. What are the features of the international insurance plan? And you can probably highlight the top 2 or 3 for the audience.
So that's a bolder question for me right now, right? I will not tell you that I know every plan that we have and what it covers, but what I can do is if you send me an email or send a message on our website, we will guide you to an advisor that will share specific benefits of whatever plan that you're interested in.
All right, thank you. We actually just got one more question, and before that, we have a comment. Chantol is saying it has been a great interview so far. Thank you so much, Chantol. We appreciate you being here and for sharing that. She has expressed that the marketing for CAB has been great.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to expound on what she said. So just recently, we actually sponsored a party. And I went as a CEO, and the new CEO went with the team. And I was so surprised that at a night event, persons came up and they did have insurance questions. Persons came up, they wanted to talk to us about insurance at a night party. And yeah, they came in afterwards. Some persons have signed on, and we're looking forward to getting more. So and of course, these are younger persons, and that is our strategy. We want to reach the younger clientele. We want to reach the Gen Zs. The millennials are still young. We want to reach the millennials as well. And so we're doing whatever activities we can to get us in that space, so that they may not want it now. It might be 6 months' time, it might be 1 year, but that they would have seen the CAB brand and know for any insurance question that Caribbean Assurance Brokers is here for you.
Thank you for that, and thank you for acknowledging us millennials as still being young. All right, so we had one last question that came in from Instagram, and first, there is a statement. There have been many management changes in CAB over the past year. What are the reasons for this?
Savio, Javer, thank you for that. I think with any organization, you go through changes. And I think it was just a year of change for CAB. I think, especially when you have a team of people that work together, and insurance industry is very small. So if you have one person going somewhere, that other broker or other company is probably looking for persons as we were, and we were building our team. So you find when one person leaves, they tend to take persons with them. And that's a natural thing in the industry. And from time to time, different companies and brokers go through this change cycle. So I think it was just a year of a change cycle for Caribbean Assurance Brokers. But I can guarantee you that this year, 2024, we're settled. We have some new persons, but we're raring to go. And you will not see that change cycle for 2024.
All right. Thank you so much for that answer and for your time, Shirley. It has been a pleasure having this conversation with you. And we look forward to seeing great things from CAB this year. Looking forward to the new product, looking forward to the stability and the launching of all of the shareholder engagement activities that I'm sure you guys have planned already.
Thank you
So
so
thank
much
you
for
again.
having me.
And we surely hope to have you again on Learn, Grow, Invest.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye to all, everyone listening. Have a great evening.
So thank you again so much to CEO of Caribbean Assurance Brokers, Miss Shirley Bridgman. And with that, we have come to the end of another episode of Market Money, where your money meets the market. We would like to thank you for listening. Today, we spoke about the Jamaica Stock Exchange, how it works, what it does, what it entails, more so what it entails. We also did a brief stock review of 138SL, and we heard from the CEO of 138SL himself, Mr. Cranston Yuan. And finally, we closed out with an interview of the new CEO of Caribbean Assurance Brokers, Ms. Shirley Bridgman. So we now once again say thank you for making it Market Money. We want to thank our sponsors, the Learn, Grow, Invest 12-month investment challenge. You can sign up now for $30 per month. There are more details in the description.